Howdy. We're just going to do a little video showing some maybe tips to gluing up end grain boards using just individual blocks. It all starts with just cutting whatever profiles you want to use, making sticks. This one's got some unique shapes. Another one here. You know, I learned a few things about cutting and gluing that have helped me out a lot, and we'll go from there. This is a little jig we made for the radial arm saw. You can take your block, slide it up. There's a stop right here on the fence. Slide it up, engage the clamp, and it's just notched out so the blade can clearance, but you're getting clamping on both sides of the block. Make your cut, release, use a little stick to push it out so you don't get your fingers in front of the blade, and you can cut blocks pretty fast. I use a radial arm saw because the accuracy is better than I can get on the table saw, and it's probably more a function of my table saws. You know, if you can get nice cuts on your table saw, go for it. But I don't get a lot of tear out. They come out pretty clean. The other thing I do before I start cutting the blocks is, I don't know if you can see it, but I draw some descending lines on the blanks, so when you're all done cutting, if you get them mixed up, you can put them back in order. Really helps if you want to get your nice grain patterns on your board. So I'll make a couple of cuts here. It's probably noisy, so hold on. After you got them all cut, I guess I number them too. The lines are nice, but they're a little hard to tell the order when you're got a bunch of them laid out. So I just put a corresponding number, 2 spots. That way when you're flipping them around, the numbers not only keep you in order, but they also help with the orientation. Okay, here's a little better example of the numbering. I cut out some more blanks. I'm going to make a border around this center. So you got your numbered piece, number 8. The next one in line, if you want to repeat the grain, you can just line the block up over the previous and then just rotate it, put it down, and you will automatically repeat all the way across. So if you look, we have the numbers alternating, 8, 10, 12, 14, and it's just that simple. It works well. One other quick tip: I think I'm gonna build up some more maple blocks. These are combination maple cherry with a row of cherry here. I'm gonna put a row of maple here, but I don't have any blocks made up. So I'm gonna rip a couple more boards, glue them together, and then the tip here is on the planer. If you want to get them the same size, I just use these really crude tape marks with different settings for this particular project, so I can plane them right back to the right size and not worry too much about it, and it actually works pretty good. So there you go. Alright, so I added another row of maple, you know, on each end, and I was looking at it. Still looks maybe a little too narrow for its length, so and there's no rules, you can do whatever you want. So I just ripped a single 3/4 inch board, and I'm going to add half a row on each side. Let's see if that balances it out a little better. You don't have to worry about, you know, I'll show you in a minute. The glue up probably seems a little intimidating, but it's really not that bad. So just going to throw these on there, and we'll go from there. Okay, I'm gonna glue this up in rows, so with this being a row and this and so on. In this case there's 9 rows. I just mark the I don't know, I mark that one top left and row 1, row 2, row 3, etc. bottom left. That way once you glue them all up you can put the pieces back together, and we'll show you, a couple of tricks to keep them all squared up, and we'll do that next. To clamp up the rows, I'm going to use 2 different clamping setups. They're basically they do the same function, but I have this one that flips down from the ceiling, and it just uses parallel clamps, and I'm going to use just 3 of them, I guess, for each segment, and then I have another clamping setup over here on my cart. I figure out ways to get the clamps in some sort of a fixture, so you're not fighting square and all the other things and having them slide around on the bench. These are just sitting in some little frames I made. There's a blog about that too, but this is just a piece of, I don't know if it's 4-inch or 5-inch, 4-inch probably, maple flooring. I'm just going to use that for a base, and then some clamping cowls. These are actually just cutting board parts that I have sitting around. I got a little pile of them over there. And the only thing you got to keep in mind, here's an actual block. It's 1.5 inches. So once I put the other clamping cowl on there, the baseboard just has to be narrower. So we're going to get our our clamping pressure on there, and then once I put a row of blocks in there, I'm just going to use a standard F clamp. Is actually going to provide the clamping pressure. The parallel clamps are just used to keep the thing straight. So then wax paper. I got kind of a system, so I have enough clamping cowls so I can, between these 2 sets of clamps, I can pretty much clamp the whole board one after another, and it only, you can clamp all these rows together in probably less than half an hour. But I'll set one up here and we'll be right back. Alright, to get started, we're just going to take a row of blocks, set them in here. There's no glue or anything yet. We're just going to set them in and tighten them up a little bit. Take our F clamp and snug them up. 1.5 inch blue tape. Rip off a piece, and then we're gonna just put a stripe of tape across the top under tension. That just keeps them nice and tight. Take our clamp back off. Flipping it over is a lot easier to carry it because they get a little unruly. We're going to take it over to the bench, put some glue on there. And don't forget your wax paper for the next step. At least that's what I do. And hold on. Yeah, we're just going to use good old Type on 3. When I was first doing these, I'd squirt some glue in there, and then I'd take one of the glue brushes and spread it around. But I've found that if you kind of figure out a technique, you can get about the right amount of glue in there and get them into all the corners. So I just put a little stripe along the bottom, top, just keep going right down the line, and press everything back down, push it together. You're going to obviously have a little squeeze out. It's not so big a deal on the top, but it is on the sides because obviously we're going to end up gluing these again, so we really don't want all that glue. I forgot a step in there too. Normally what I'll do before I put glue on is add my some pencil lines on each side, because later we're going to sand this down, and if you put the pencil on before the glue, you could sand away the pencil line and know you've gotten rid of the glue. But at any rate, so here we are. We're going to press them back down. I put another piece of tape on the top. I'm not absolutely positive that this adds a benefit or not, but it just seems to me that it's going to give it a bit of a torsion box kind of a property, so when we go back to clamping it, it should sort of resist the bowing effect. So we're just going to throw that back in the cauls and go from there. Alright, now we got one row glued up in each set of clamps. I'm just going to take a couple of quick clamps and just clamp across the cauls. And then, let's see, get a little better. And I'm just going to loosen up the parallel clamps. And we can just pop the whole thing out. Alright, so now we got them all in clamps. I actually got a few of them out of the clamps, and they're not perfect or anything, but they're certainly going to be good enough. We're going to take the tape off. We got our pencil lines on there. We're going to end up sanding three sides. For the sanding part, I just picked up some freebie 1-inch thick MDF off of Craigslist the other day, and I put some PSA sandpaper on there. This is some really nice 3M stuff. I got a cousin that works at 3M, and I shouldn't tell you this, but this is what I pay for a roll, 25 cents. Really good stuff. So I just put a couple of stripes on there. Like I said earlier, we're going to sand, of course, all the mating edges, so we have nice tight gaps between our strips. And we're also going to sand just the bottom, not the top. Tops got our markings on them. Don't want to get rid of those yet. And this is definitely a little work. No matter how good of a job you do on your glue up, there's still a lot of sanding, always. But that's basically the process. You just keep going until you get rid of those lines, and of course we still have some lines, but that's what we're going to do. Alright, now we got them all sanded up, and we got all the joints are nice and tight now. If it doesn't look that way, there's just a little shadow line because we're not perfectly level, but there's no gaps. You should be able to just dry fit this board and not see any gaps without clamps. And we are back in the clamp rack, or the clamp frame or whatever, and I added a little fence right here. So we're just going to butt everything up and then sight down and make sure you really have a nice straight line. And in this case I didn't. I had a little misalignment here at the top, so I just add some shims along this edge on these top three blocks, because for whatever reason, don't be too surprised that you have a couple that don't want to conform. And so the dry fit looks good. We're just going to add some glue. I'm not even going to clamp them tight to the fence. I'm just going to work it in by hand, and that works pretty well if you kind of pay attention. And we'll throw some glue on there, and go from there. Hey, while I was filming this, I kind of thought of the kind of new phrase, maybe freestyle ingrain boards. These are just 3 that are rough sanded so far on the drum. These are all 60 grit, but that's the board you saw me build today, and then a couple others. These are, that one's kind of wild. This is the shape library over here. There's just, it doesn't really matter what shape you come up with. Do them square, rectangle, this size, that size, doesn't really matter. Just do whatever you want. Build something, glue it together. They're really, like in this board here, you saw me build this one. There was no plan, good or bad, you decide. And just see what happens, you know? Have some fun with it. Thanks for watching.